Triggers table. When you select an action, it will display all the triggers connected to it. You can connect multiple triggers to a single action. You can adjust the width of all columns in this table. To resize a column, grab the separator to the right of the column name and drag it. If you double-click on a separator, the column will resize to fit the width of its largest value. In the table you can see source displays the source of the trigger. Type corresponds to the name of the trigger. Enabled indicates whether the trigger is enabled. If it's disabled, the text in the row will turn red. Criteria shows additional criteria for the trigger, which vary depending on the trigger type. To create a trigger, click on this button or right-click on an empty space in the table. Both context menus are identical. From this menu you can refresh triggers, force a Streamer.Bot to refresh the list of triggers. For example, if you added a command trigger and then change the command name, it may not refresh immediately. This button forces the update. Clear all triggers prompts you to confirm if you want to delete all triggers connected to the action. Disable all triggers. Disables state of all triggers. Favorite triggers displays triggers that you've marked as favorites. To add a trigger to favorites, right-click on the desired trigger. Recent triggers shows up to 10 triggers you've recently attached to any action. To add a trigger to the recent list, you need to actually add it, not just open the Add dialog. If you click Cancel, the trigger won't be added to recent. This list is cleared after Streamer.Bot is closed. Then there are the actual triggers. Because Streamer.Bot interacts with a lot of stuff, there are many types of triggers. I will cover them in a separate video. If you have a trigger in your clipboard, the context menu will also show the past trigger option. Yes, you can copy-paste triggers. If you right-click on any trigger, you will see another context menu. This part is identical to the previously discussed one. Test trigger performs a test run for the trigger. It populates the required arguments and runs the action. Simulate event. Some triggers have a simulate event and its edit options. It works similarly to test trigger, but provides more control over the conditions of the run and can generate additional events, such as WebSocket event. Edit trigger opens the edit dialog for the trigger. You can also double-click the trigger to open the dialog. Copy-paste trigger allows you to copy the trigger to the other actions, both within the same instance of Streamer.Bot and to other instances. Keyboard shortcut Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V. For example, you can copy a trigger from one Streamer.Bot instance to another. However, be careful. It doesn't copy dependencies. If I have an OBS trigger that uses my test OBS instance, and I copy it to another Streamer.Bot instance without the same OBS connection, the trigger won't know which OBS connection to use. Even if I create a new OBS connection with the same name, it won't work because the internal IDs are different. If I change the trigger to use my main OBS connection, which has the same name and internal ID, and copy it to the second instance, it will connect correctly because both instances were created from the same backup. Delete trigger prompts you to confirm if you want to delete the selected trigger. Keyboard shortcut Delete. Enable toggles the enable-disable state of the trigger. Keyboard shortcut Ctrl+O. The question mark button opens the trigger viewer window. Here you can see a tree view of all the triggers you are using and the actions they are assigned to. You can collapse and expand the nodes in the tree view. The filter allows you to search for triggers by the name. The clear filter button resets the filter. Since this is not a model window, you can leave it open while adding more triggers. To see the updates, click the refresh button.